Now, the greatest radio shows of all time.
Suspense.
The Shadow Node.
Washington calling David Harding, Counter-Spy.
Classic radio theater.
The Great Gildersleeve.
Fibber McGee and Molly.
Dragnet. Gunsmoke.
The Lone Ranger.
Now, step back into our time machine with your host, Wyatt Cox.
Good evening, friends of the Inner Sanctum.
An episode of radio's outstanding theater of thrills, Suspense, John McIntire, starring in Rain Tonight. This episode originally broadcast on June 29th, 1958.
Suspense. And the producer of radio's outstanding theater of thrills, the master of mystery and adventure, William N. Robeson.
No amount of well-intentioned euphemisms can change the fact that a prison, call the maximum or minimum security institution, call their inhabitants inmates, but the man on the inside knows better. He's a convict, and he's in stir, and he never stops dreaming of getting out. The author of the tale of suspense you're about to hear knows this well. He spent 5 years of his life in San Quentin Penitentiary, and the story he tells is based on fact. Listen then as John McIntire stars in Rain Tonight.
And now, Rain Tonight, starring John McIntire. A tale well calculated to keep you in suspense.
It's like I've always said about these joints. Somewhere they forgot something. Somewhere there's a weak point, and if a guy just waits long enough and looks hard enough, he finds it.
Sure. This cell, those bars, got a light?
You think I'm stir-happy, don't you?
Me? No. But I still could use a light.
Here. How long you known me?
8 years now. 8 years in just this one lockup. 8 years and 17 before that in another joint. Thinking the same thoughts you've been thinking. And I'm still here. We're all still here.
A man wasn't born to live in a cage like this.
I didn't send for us, Ben.
I know that.
I'm tired, Ben. Tired of hearing what everyone's gonna do. All the angles they got figured. Except nobody can tell you how to stay out of one of these places.
That's square John talk.
Maybe so. But we had it. They've thrown away the key for you and me. And you know it. The only way out of here is through that front gate with a piece of parole paper in your hand, which we'll never have. Or the back gate in the black wagon. That's how we're going out, Ben. That back gate parole.
We'll see.
Yeah, we'll see. Must be some of the boys coming back from the board.
You know something that's always struck me funny about this place?
What?
That. Con's ringing a bell to get inside one of these cell blocks. Ringing a bell asking to get locked up.
Where else are they gonna go? This is home.
Hey, there goes the little saint. Hey, Dominic! Nick!
Who's calling?
Here, 1410.
You want something?
You been to the board?
Yeah.
You must be getting short.
I got my time set. I'm going home in 30 days.
Good, kid, good.
Listen, Dominic, don't let anyone know your business. Especially when it comes to hitting those streets.
The kid's happy. He wants to tell everybody the good news, don't you, kid?
Yeah, sure.
Kid, there are guys in here that don't want you to reach those streets. Because they can't. They'll cause you any kind of trouble to make you lose your parole date. Because that's the most precious thing a man can own in here.
I don't understand. Why would anyone want to...
Go on, shove off. I'll be pulling your cell boy, and he told you.
Yeah, sure. Well, thanks, Pop. I'll be seeing you.
Pop, he called you.
He's a good kid. They're a rare commodity around here.
Yeah. Works in the chapel, don't he?
Mm-hmm. Father O'Day's altar boy. That's why everybody calls him the Little Saint.
Yeah, quite a handle.
Kid should have never been in here in the first place.
What was it, joyriding with someone else's heap?
That's what I hear. I'm gonna turn in.
Yeah, me too.
Sorry I've been so preachy, Ben. But you know how it is. We all get a little tight-strung at times.
Yeah, I understand. Sure. You know something?
What?
I think I'll go to chapel this Sunday. Maybe the little saint can show me the way to heaven. Hey, you, where's the kid? Shh, where's the kid? Where's Dominic?
You can't talk to him now. He's with the Father serving Mass.
When's all this over?
In a few minutes.
Okay, when the kid's through up there, tell him I want to see him. Shh, yourself. Tell him it's real important. Hey, kid.
Huh?
Yeah, you.
Yeah. What do you want?
I got a favor to ask you. Let's take a walk to the yard.
What kind of a favor?
Well, you're real short for the streets, and a man as short as you just can't afford any sort of trouble, can he?
That's for sure. I'm gonna keep my nose clean.
Haven't you got some folks outside?
Yes.
Mother, father, brothers, sisters?
I got 2 brothers.
I bet they want to see you real bad. You them too, huh?
I ought to be splitting, really. I got some
Wait a
things
minute,
to do.
kid. You're being awful impolite to a friend. I still haven't asked a favor I wanted to ask.
Well, what is it?
How would you like to help an old con like me go home? Say even before you do. How wouldn't that make you feel good?
Look, I got a shove.
I think you ought to wait, kid. Hear me out.
Why?
Because you and me are going to form a partnership. We're both going to need each other. Me to make sure I let you keep your health and your parole date. And you to help me crash out of this lousy joint.
You're crazy. I don't want anything to do
Listen
with
to me,
you.
punk. You see that sky up there? That says storm, lots of rain, probably by tomorrow night. Tomorrow afternoon, I want you to see that I get a ducat. That I get called to see the chaplain. Make up any kind of story, personal troubles, my old lady, anything, but make it good. Because before tomorrow night's over, either I'm going to be free or you're going to be dead.
In a moment, we continue with the second act of Suspense.
June 29th, 1958, Suspense on Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt Cox.
You ever make a change and then think, why didn't I do this years ago? Well, that's how people feel about switching to Medishare for their health care, especially now with inflation the way it is. People are very happy with the savings. Most families save about $500 a month when they switch. It's a huge help when prices are going up so fast in so many other areas. And Medishare's customer satisfaction rate is double that of health insurance. It's just a different experience, and people really like that. Medishare is an alternative to health insurance. It's a community of Christians who share each other's healthcare bills, and it's been going strong for over 25 years. It really is the gold standard, the most trusted name in healthcare sharing. Find out why people love it, find out why they rave about the customer service, and find out how good it feels to save some money right now. They're super easy to talk to. Here's the number, 833-34-BIBLE. That's 833-34-BIBLE, 833-34-BIBLE.
Now on Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt Cox, the conclusion of Suspense, Rain Tonight, starring John McIntire, June 29th, 1958.
And now, starring John McIntire, Act 2 of Rain Tonight.
Looks like a real storm is cooking up. It's early still, and already it looks like the middle of the night outside.
What time is it, anyway?
5:30. You know, I used to like the rain as a boy. But in here, it depresses a man. Even sometimes makes him feel afraid and alone. The rain makes everything gray and dreary, like a preparation for someone to die.
Riggs,
Yeah, 99439.
you've got to duck it to the chapel. I'll pull the bar in a few minutes. Be ready to come out of your cell.
Yes, sir.
What's with this chapel bit?
I asked to see the father.
You asked to see the father?
Yeah, what's wrong with that?
Nothing, but I never quite figured you going to any priest.
I got problems.
Only problem I've ever known you to have is how to crash out of this place.
Suppose you cut the question so I don't have to give you silly answers, okay?
Oh, I get it. I saw you in the yard talking to the little saint yesterday. Now you're getting a ducat. There's got to be a connection.
Pop, you're forgetting something you and me learned in the streets a long, long time ago. When nobody knows nothing, then nobody can tell nothing.
All out, fourth gear.
Well, here I go.
You men who are going on ducats, either to school, the chapel, or the captain's office. You are to meet here at 5 post when your business is complete. You understand?
Yeah.
When you return here, you'll be taken back to the blocks for lockup and counting. All right, when I call your names, you can leave. School ducats. Johnson.
Yes.
Jackson.
Yes.
Chapel. Riggs.
Yes, sir.
Captain's office ducats. Load up.
Boy, it's really coming down. Oh, hi, kid.
You'll have to wait to see the father. There's somebody ahead of you.
Ah, that's fine with me, kid. That gives us time to talk.
I can. I've got some things to do.
They can wait. This can't.
I thought you wanted to see the father.
I do, but you first. While we're talking, why don't I take one of these books and be reading, huh? Yeah, let's sit here. Which book should we look at?
What's wrong with the Bible?
Nothing. Isn't there something in there about the gates of hell shall never have enough bars or guards around them that a man of God can't lead his children through?
Look, Ben, why do you want to see the father?
He's getting me out of here.
What?
Ah, relax, kid. You ain't going to get hurt. Nobody is, unless they get careless. I don't want anything to happen to nobody. I just want out of here. I've looked at these walls long enough. I've tried to beat them twice. I've tried to figure out how to go over them, through them, under them. I've rotted in solitary because of them. And it came to me. You and the father.
Why us?
I'll tell you why. It came to me the other day when you come by the cell after getting back from the board. I can see the chapel here from my tier window. In fact, I've seen you go to the front gate area with the father almost every night as long as you've been here, kid. That's a little over 2 years now. He always carries personal stuff in a small traveling case. He leaves every night just around this time, don't he?
Yes.
Well, how far do you go with him to the front gate?
Why?
I'm asking you, how far do you go with him?
Right to the gate.
Well, then what happens?
I hand him his bag.
Is that all? You sure now?
Yes.
All right, tell it to me step by step. What do you two do when you leave the chapel for the front gate?
Well, I carry the father's bag, and he tells me about what he wants me to do for him the next day. I walk with him to the gate area, and we get a highball from the gate tower, and then we go up to the steel gate, and I hand the father his bag. And then he goes to the main gate by himself.
I make that steel gate, and I'm on my way out.
But what about me? He'll think I'm mixed up with you.
Tell me up. Nobody's gonna get hurt unless they try to play hero.
What are you going to do with the father?
Nothing permanent. He stays right here in the chapel. Just you and me take that big walk. All alone. Let's get going. You tell the father I'm here. No pig Latin either.
What are you going to do with the father?
That's not your worry. You tell the father I'm ready to see him. Come on.
Yes.
Riggs is here to see you, Father.
Oh, yes. Send him in, please.
You can go on in.
You too, kid. You come in with me.
But you don't need
Oh,
me.
yes, I do. We all stay together. Let's go.
Oh, come in, Mr. Riggs. Dominic, you might as well tend to your last-minute chores. I'll be ready to leave shortly.
He stays here, Father.
Father, he wants to use
Shut
you
up.
as...
Sit down, the both of you.
What is this?
I'm sorry, Father, but like I've been telling the kid here, I ain't got no choice. I want to get out of this joint, and you two are my only key. Now, if nobody tries nothing, nobody gets hurt. The shiv I'm holding is just as deadly as any gun.
I think you're being very foolish. Whatever unfortunate scheme you have in mind will only end up with someone getting seriously hurt. Now, we can talk things out, I'm sure.
You're a little too late for that, Father. Quite a few years too late. They've thrown away the key on me, so I'm making my own way out.
Now, please listen to me. You can't get out of here this way.
All they can do is kill me, Father. They can't give me any more time. I got it all.
But why involve Dominic?
He's your altar boy, Father, your right hand. If he wasn't with you every night you leave, the bulls would start wondering. That's why he's here, Father.
What you have in mind, how does it concern young Dominic or myself? Am I to be a shield?
No, Father, you're in luck. Just me and the kid here take the chances.
I can't let you do this.
You have no choice.
I have a telephone.
That was very foolish, Father. You might have got hurt. Now listen to me. You and me, we ain't too much different in size, are we? So all we do is change clothes real quick like.
I see. You were going to leave here as me. Why, they'll see through the disguise in a minute.
You hear that? Lightning and thunder, lots of rain, a real storm outside. You ever try to see very far in the rain? Me and the kid here will be in a hurry to get you out of the rain. The gun tower bulls will be too. After all, the father shouldn't be kept in the rain any longer than necessary.
Do you really think this plan will succeed?
I have faith, Father. What do you have?
A prayer. That you hurt not yourself or any others.
All right, take off those robes, quick.
I wish you would let me persuade you.
Just do as I say, Father.
If your mind is set, at least leave the boy here.
Sorry, Father, I can't, but I'll leave him between gates for you if he behaves himself. Now, Father, what I gotta do, I don't want to do, but I can't take any chances. I'm gonna have to gag and tie you up. Now, let's make it as easy on us as possible. No trouble, huh?
The trouble is already ours. And I fear terrible trouble.
Okay, kid, let's take that walk. No tricks. Everything like it's always been.
I hear you.
Okay, let's go. Not so fast, kid. Let's make it look natural like. Here. I'll be trying to cover you like maybe the father would, huh? Hey, we're near the gate tower. What's the father say? Quick, what's the father say when the tower challenges him? Come on.
He just says Father O'Day and escort, that's all.
You sure?
Yes.
All right, here we go.
You down there! Identify yourself, please!
Father O'Day and escort.
All right, Father. You may go ahead.
Okay, kid, let's go. I'll go through between gates first. You follow quick.
Good evening, Father. Sure no night for anyone to be out.
Mm-mm.
You should have waited the worst of this storm out, Father. Better let me lend you an umbrella. We have one here.
Thank you, I'm fine.
Well, watch your step, Father. Here's your valise.
Father, you forgot your galoshes. Your feet'll get all wet.
There, he's right, Father. Hey, you there, those shoes, they're prison shoes. You there, halt! Father O'Day.
go of me, you crumbs! Let go of me! I'll get you, kid! I'll get you! I'll kill that little squealer! I'll kill that dirty little rat! You... I had it made. I had it made.
The kid did you a favor, Ben. You might have gone out in that rain and caught your death of cold.
Suspense, in which John McIntire starred in William N. Robson's production of Rain Tonight by Jules Maitland. Supporting John McIntire in Rain Tonight were Barney Phillips, Tommy Cook, Norm Alden, Jim Nusser, Jay Novello, and Jack Moyles. Listen. Listen again next week when we return with another tale well calculated to keep you in suspense.
From June 29th, 1958, Suspense. Shows like this and yours truly, Johnny Dollar, are made possible by those of you who make donations to our Buy Me a Coffee link over at classicradio.stream. These are pretty rare shows. Speaking of rare, an episode of yours truly, Johnny Dollar, a half-hour show from June 29th, 1958, follows this break.
Radio? Why should I advertise on radio? There's nothing to look at, no pictures.
Listen, you can do things on radio you couldn't possibly do on TV.
That'll be the day.
All right, watch this. Okay, people, and now when I give you the cue, I want the 700-foot mountain of whipped cream to roll into Lake Michigan, which has been drained and filled with hot chocolate. Then the Royal Canadian Air Force will fly overhead towing a 10-ton maraschino cherry, which will be dropped into the whipped cream to the cheering of 25,000 extras. All right, cue the mountain. Airport. Cue the maraschino cherry. Okay, 25,000 cheering extras. Now, you want to try that on television?
Well...
You see, radio is a very special medium because it stretches the imagination.
Doesn't television stretch the imagination?
Up to 27 inches, yes.
She was born in a humble shack amidst the lemon groves of Goleta, California.
Mommy, don't cry. You know what they say?
When life gives you lemons, make lemonade.
I was gonna say life sucks, and then you die. But I like yours better.
And with that, Alexandra Johnson launched her lemonade stand.
Lemonade, nickel a glass.
Every day, even during the frigid California winters, a bone-chilling 72 degrees, you could find her.
You can have it sour, you can have it sweet. Little girl's lemonade will knock you off your feet.
The little girl with the sour brew wanted more, national distribution, franchises, and so she rolled out a well-budgeted advertising campaign.
Me and the rest of the dockworkers only drink little girl lemonade.
She was made president of the International Sour Drink Association and chosen to give the keynote speech at their convention.
You all set with words of wisdom, honey?
You know what they say, Mommy.
Always advertise so consumers think of your product first.
I was gonna say never swallow a lemon seed or a watermelon on your tummy.
This fabricated but interesting story is to remind you that it's called advertising and it works.
Put your message on this national advertising platform by emailing classicradiotheater@gmail.com. classicradiotheater@gmail.com. Now on Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt Cox, another episode of that action-packed expense account from that fabulous insurance investigator, yours truly, Johnny Dollar. This was originally broadcast June 29th, 1958.
From Hollywood, it's time now for... Johnny Dollar.
This is Barry Winters at Masters Insurance and Trust.
Oh, hi, Barry. It's been years.
Sure, Johnny, because we don't usually have trouble with our accounts.
You mean you didn't?
Huh?
Until now.
Well, yeah, I'm afraid that's about the size of it. And this time it's bad trouble.
Tell me all.
Simplex Tackle Company, Johnny, over in Danbury.
Fishing tackle?
That's right.
Oh, how come I never heard of them?
Well, they're a small outfit, a kind of glorified partnership.
What's that mean?
Well, it's owned by 9 men. One of them, Hanley Thomas, is president. The others are secretary, treasurer, and a flock of vice presidents.
So what's happened?
Well, the 9 of them, plus the 20 or 30 workers at the plant, are all covered by a group life insurance deal. And listen.
Yeah?
We've just had to pay off on 3 policies in a row.
Well, that's too bad, but why call on me?
Because, Johnny.
Why?
Those 3 deaths were all murders.
Bob
Bob Bailey in the exciting adventures of the man with the action-packed expense account, America's fabulous freelance insurance investigator.
Yours truly, Johnny Dollar. Expense account submitted by Special Investigator Johnny Dollar to the Masters Insurance and Trust Company, Home Office, Hartford, Connecticut. Following is an account of expenses incurred during my investigation of the ugly pattern matter. Expense account item 1, $1 even taxi to Barry Winter's office at Masters, where I hoped he could give me something more to work on than he had over the phone. And you know something? As it turned out, he gave me a lot more than he thought he did.
The police? Sure, they've been working on these murders, Johnny. But they haven't come up with anything, except a theory that one man is behind them all.
Why, Barry?
Because the victims have all been members of the Simplex Tackle Company.
Well, but I don't...
Because they've all occurred within a month. Because each of them occurred on a Wednesday.
Pattern, huh?
That's right. And also, Johnny, because there's been no apparent reason for any of them.
Uh-huh. Have the police found anything?
Nothing.
Same kind of weapon used in each case?
No. The first was a VP named Adams, run over by a car.
Sure it wasn't accidental?
The police say no. The second, John Bowers, was strangled, and Frank Dalvers was shot in his own home.
No pattern there. I mean, in the way they occurred.
Apparently not. But Hanley Thomas and the police don't agree.
Thomas is president of Simplex, you said.
And a real financial wizard. Used to be a promoter. Not much ethics, but a sharp businessman. As a friend or partner, I imagine he's a fine man. Here. I'll give you a complete list of the officers of the company, their rank and their salary.
Well, I don't know exactly what good that'll do.
Here you are. And this is a list of the employees.
Have those employees all been checked out?
Sergeant Dennis over there at Homicide made quite a point of it. So did Mr. Thomas.
Well, look, why don't I run over there and talk with him? And to the Danbury police.
Yeah, I think you'd better. And, Johnny, the sooner the better.
Why do you say that?
The pattern. There are still 6 officers left in that company. That is, 6 who are still alive.
Item 2, another $1 for a cab back to my apartment. There I picked up my own car, and from here on in, the charge will be for mileage. Except for item 3, $4 1/4 for a tank of mobile gas. It was almost noon by the time I'd covered the 60-odd miles to the Simplex factory on the far edge of Danbury. To my surprise, it was quite a plant, new and modern in every way. A receptionist took my card, and a few minutes later, I was ushered into the office of Hanley Thomas, president.
Oh, this is a terrible thing. Adams, Bowers, Frank Dalvers, all within a few weeks.
Barry Winters, back in Hartford, seems to think these murders have all been the work of one man.
Oh, the police and I concur in that theory. There's been a sort of pattern followed by the crazy killer.
But not an actual method, Mr. Thomas.
No, I'll grant you that's true. Car accident, strangling, pistol shot. But they were done by someone who must have been very familiar with his victims.
How do you mean?
Well, someone who knew, for instance, that Ben Adams took a long walk alone each night. He knew the route that he took.
Same thing applied to the second victim?
John Bowers always drove to work through a little woods. It was there he was stopped and strangled. Frank Dalvers always stayed at home alone on Wednesday nights while his wife was out playing bridge.
Someone broke in on him, huh? Have the police checked that?
Well, it was someone he must have let in. In other words, someone he knew.
Yeah, that's a possibility, I suppose. I understand you've checked on all your employees.
Yes, right off the bat, as much as the police could.
Any particular reason to suspect one of them?
Well, only because they were all in position to know these men pretty well, know their habits. We're a small company, Mr. Dollar. Our employees, including the girls in the office, only number 21.
That was your only reason to think one of them may have done it?
Oh, of course, we've had our share of labor troubles, a few dissidents in the ranks, so to speak. I suppose some of them resent the rather top-heavy management here.
You mean the fact there are 9 executives to only 21 employees, huh?
Yes, and I must confess the profits have been pretty good lately.
Barry Winters gave me a list of, here it is. Now, according to this, all of these...
What is it, Mr. Dollar?
Well, I got thinking on the way over here.
Yes?
Part of the pattern you mentioned, the 3 men were killed in alphabetical order.
What? Well, yes. Adams, Bowers, Dalvers.
But now that I look at this list again...
Of course. The pattern again.
No, I think that was just coincidence. The pattern, if there is one, is based on their order of rank. That is, if these salary figures mean anything.
I'm not sure I understand.
Well, look, first was Adams at the lowest salary among you officers.
Well, yes. Adams received $12,000 a year.
Yeah, look. Bowers came in next at 13.5.
You're right. And Frank Dalvers earned $15,000.
So, if this pattern should continue...
You mean to say you think there might be more of these murders?
If this pattern continues, the next to go would be...
Good heavens.
Would be James Williams or Charles Hart, both earning 16.5. Then a couple of more. Then you, Mr. Thomas.
Mr. Dolly.
Where'll I find James Williams?
Why, Williams is on vacation, a little place not far from here, Parvin's Pond.
When did he leave?
Last week, on Monday.
Have you heard from him?
No, I haven't, but...
Of course, if the alphabetical pattern is the right theory.
Oh, excuse me. Yes?
Sergeant Dennis, Mr. Thomas.
Oh, it's the sergeant at homicide, Mr. Dolly.
So I hear.
I'll hold the phone so you can hear what he's
Thomas.
saying. Yes, Sergeant.
I'm afraid I have some bad news for you.
Oh?
Another one of your partners.
Williams.
Mr. John Williams.
Yes?
Discovered his body over at Parvin's Pond this morning. He's been murdered.
Good Lord.
Act two of yours truly, Johnny Dollar, in a moment.
June 29th, 1958, yours truly, Johnny Dollar, on Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt Cox. Mike Lindell and MyPillow offering the BOGO extravaganza right now on a whole slew of MyPillow products. Now you can find all sorts of great deals on MyPillow bed sheets, Giza Elegance MyPillow, 6-piece towel sets, Roll and Go Anywhere pillows, much more, all priced buy one, get one free. Go to mypillow.com/USA, use promo code USA, or call 1-800-951-8175 and find you some great MyPillow products. They're all available. Oh, by the way, you can also get Mike's book absolutely free with any purchase, but you have to go to mypillow.com/USA or call 1-800-951-8175 and make sure you use the promo code, the buy one, get one extravaganza, going on right now at mypillow.com. Now on Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt Cox, the conclusion of yours truly, Johnny Dollar and the Ugly Pattern Matter, June 29th, 1958.
And now, Act two of yours truly, Johnny Dollar, and the Ugly Pattern Matter.
Another of the executives of the Simplex Tackle Company murdered, bludgeoned to death in his little vacation cabin on Parvin's Pond, some 40 miles north of Danbury. And again, it was according to pattern.
How those carefree kids can fish and water ski out there when there's been a murder right under their noses.
Yeah, Sergeant, I know what you mean. This the cabin Mr. Williams was using?
Yes, sir. He came up here on his vacation Monday morning last week alone. There we are.
Who knew he was coming to this particular spot, Sergeant?
Why, everybody down at the plant, I guess. Now, the way the doc and I figured it out, Mr. Williams had just come in from fishing. Now, you see there, he'd just tossed his rod and stringer on the bed.
Everything's just the way it was, huh?
Yeah, except for his body. That's in Danbury at the coroner's.
You said he was bludgeoned to death.
Yeah, with that oar from his rowboat. You see it laying there on the floor?
Yeah, I see. Who found his body?
Little old lady from the cabin next door. She'd stopped by this morning to bring him some cookies. Knocked on the door swung open, and there he was. And the doc says the body was lying there ever since.
Have you checked that oar for prints?
The killer must have used gloves.
What about footprints?
Well, if there were any, the vacation crowd tramped them out long before we got here. Now, the way we figure is that he came in here Wednesday night, off the lake.
Wednesday?
Yes, Mr. Dollar, just like the other ones. It happened on Wednesday, a week ago tomorrow.
The pattern again?
Yes, sir. And if you ask me, it's the pattern of a madman. And this being a Tuesday again...
But what possible motive could there be for it?
Well, you ask me, it's one of the employees there at the plant. After all, for such a small company, 9 big money-making officers, at least there was 9.
Yeah, I know what you mean. Are those 21 employees paid pretty well?
Nope. In spite of the company making a lot of money. What with this recession we're in.
Read the signs, man. Most of this so-called recession's a lot of bunk.
Yeah, I agree with you. Everybody get out and dig instead of sitting around hoarding their money. Yeah, well, what I was going to say is that those executives took advantage and held down wages in spite of all the money they're making. So just let one crazy hothead find out how good they're doing.
How well have you checked those employees?
The best we could. I talked with every one of them myself.
How about the officers of the company?
There's not one of them would do a thing like that. They're all fine men. Ask Mr. Thomas. Sure, they're hard-headed businessmen. Everyone looking out for himself, but they're all fine men. And they're all making plenty of money.
Oh, which reminds me.
What's that, Mr. Dollar?
A list of the officers and their salaries. And according to this, if there's to be another victim...
Another? Oh, no.
I worked out another step in the pattern of these murders, based on the earnings of these men.
But then, Mr. Dollar, who will it be?
It won't be anybody if I can help it. But, Sergeant, I may have to ask you to put a 24-hour watch over an officer of that company named Mr. Charles Hart. I didn't bother explaining my own idea of the pattern to Sergeant Dennis. After all, my theory could be wrong. But I drove back to the Simplex factory, to the office of Charles Hart. I found only a secretary there.
No, he isn't here, Mr. Dollar.
Well, where is he?
To be perfectly honest about it, I don't know.
Hasn't he been in at all today?
No, sir. Hasn't been in since about last Wednesday.
Look, Miss, whatever your name is, have you called his home, his wife?
He's a bachelor, Mr. Dollar, and lives in a little apartment in Danbury.
Have you tried to call him?
Well, no, sir. You see, there was
Does Mr. Thomas know about his not being here?
There's nothing unusual about Charlie's leaving without telling us, Mr. Dollar.
Oh, Mr. Thomas.
He often goes off on sales trips like this.
He was last seen the day Mr. Williams was killed.
Well, surely you don't think Charlie Hart had anything to do with Jim Williams being... Oh, no. Did you find out anything over at Parvin's Pond?
No, not much, I'm afraid. Could this Charlie Hart have had any reason for wanting Williams out of the organization? And Adams and Bowers and Dalvers?
Of course not.
Yes. Yes, he could.
What?
Miss Gregg.
What do you mean by that?
Mr. Hart was the one who built up this company. The one who developed the products, put all his money in it.
Now, just a minute.
He's the one who sold all the product that made all the money. He and Mr. Adams were the ones who started the business.
Is that true, Mr. Thomas?
Yes, of course.
And when Mr. Thomas and his relatives came along...
Miss Gregg. What she says is true, Mr. Dollar. Charlie Hart and Ben Adams did start this business. They took on a couple of partners, Al Bowers and Frank Dalvers. They were the ones who decided on the expansion program, who came to us for the financing.
With the others gone, it should have been Mr. Hart's company.
Oh, wait, Miss Gregg.
Our financing made this present operation possible. But to imply that Charlie could have been driven by jealousy or any other motive to commit these crimes, that's absurd. How could you suggest such a thing, Miss Gregg?
I didn't say he did it. I only tried
We know what you said, and you've said enough.
Tell me one thing, Mr. Thomas.
Yes?
What happens to his share of the business when one of the partners dies? Or in this case, when he's murdered?
Well, the other partners absorb his share.
Then, if Charlie Hart eliminated one of you, it would add to his holdings.
That's true.
Okay, I'll see you later.
But, Mr. Dollar, if you believe for one moment that Charlie Hart... Why, I've known him for years.
Yeah? Well, I think I want to know him a little better. It was pretty plain that Charlie Hart, supposedly next on the list of victims, had plenty of motive for eliminating some of his partners in the Simplex Tackle Company. I guess the same applied to any other member of the company. But he, having started the business, knew all about the others, their plans, their habits. And he'd been last seen just prior to the murder of James Williams. I got his address, hopped into my car, and drove back to Danbury. But ringing his bell and pounding on his door got me nothing.
Here, young man. You want Mr. Hart? You'll probably find him at the factory.
Are you the building superintendent?
That's right.
Then I want you to let me into Mr. Hart's apartment.
Well, now...
All right, here are my credentials. I'm an insurance investigator.
Investigator?
Yeah, here, see?
$20 special...
And if that isn't enough, here's a 5-spot for your trouble. 10.
Well... But now don't you let on that
Okay, Dad, thanks. Maybe over here. The same list that I got...
The officers.
Huh?
The officers of our company.
Mr. Hart.
That's right, Charlie Hart. Should have looked behind the door when you barged in here.
Yeah, well, look. Would you like to point that thing the other way, please?
I'm sorry, Mr. Dollar, of course.
Oh, you know who I am?
Yes, I heard you through the door.
All right, is that the gun that killed one of your partners?
That killed one of my... No. But listen. Tomorrow's another Wednesday. Wednesday, Mr. Dollar.
I know.
And look at that list you're holding. I finally realized the progression in which these murders are happening.
Oh?
On the basis of our salaries at the company. Adams, Bowers, Dalvers, and Williams or me.
Yes, you've circled Williams' name.
Yes, because he got it last week.
That's why I'm staying in here, locked in. Because tomorrow, if the killer strikes again, that crazy maniac killer...
Maybe. Or maybe that's what he'd like everyone to think. Charlie, a couple of questions.
Anything if I can help you stop this.
That company was once yours.
Yes, that's right.
You were the boss, the head man, until Hanley Thomas came along.
Yes, Hanley and his brothers and his brother-in-law.
And they took over as first in rank.
Well, they were entitled to, Dollar.
What?
It was their money made the company what it is. I'm not an administrator, a man who knows and plays all the angles. I'm just a worker and a salesman.
Oh, now, wait a minute. You mean you're content with the present setup?
Yes, of course. In spite of the prodding of a sweet old secretary who thinks that
Wait a minute.
But these murders, Mr. Dollar.
You stay put. Keep that gun and don't move out of this apartment until I tell you to, no matter who comes to the door, to save your life.
You think you know...
Charlie, it's been right under my nose. The obvious. Almost too obvious. But I had no proof of anything. Only a hunch, but a potent one. So how to prove it out? Bluff? It might work, if I was right. I drove into police headquarters and picked up Sergeant Dennis, then out to the Simplex Tackle Company. But when I walked in, it was after hours, no secretaries about. When I walked into the office, I borrowed the sergeant's handcuffs and made him wait outside, his ear glued to the door.
Well, Mr. Dollar, I didn't expect you back. What do the handcuffs mean?
They mean arrest for the murder of your partners.
That's a very bad joke.
You and your brothers and brother-in-law, the whole company yours, once you got rid of the men who started it, who made it possible for your capital to make it pay off. But tell me, were you going to kill off your relatives, too, one by one?
This is the most absurd thing...
You covered your tracks pretty well. Perfect crimes. Except for that ore you used to kill Williams. Fingerprints as big as life all over it.
Impossible.
I figured the gloves you wore must have had holes in them or have been worn very thin.
What?
That you just didn't notice in the excitement of the moment. And when I finally found those gloves...
You've been out to my home, ransacking my home.
And when your wife confessed that you weren't at home at the time of any of the murders.
That's a lie. She helped me plan the whole thing.
Oh. Then you admit the murders. After my bluff about the fingerprints.
I see. But now that you know, you haven't had time to tell anyone, there's no one around to hear the shot, Mr. Dollar.
No, but I heard a real clean confession, Mr. Thomas.
Sergeant, No, that was just to protect myself from this...
I'm afraid that kind of talk's a little late.
No, it is.
Look out! Sergeant, I haven't seen that fast a draw except on TV.
That's where I learned it.
There'll be a lot for the courts to work on about who else was involved with Thomas. The sergeant's bullet killed him, by the way, and I'd call it good riddance. Or at least quick justice. So, expense account total, including a lot of mileage on my car, $101 even. Remarks? Why bother? Yours truly, Johnny Dollar.
Now, here's our star to tell you about next week's story.
Next week, a foggy night in San Francisco Bay, a beautiful girl, and a killer. Join us, won't you? Yours truly, Johnny Dollar.
Yours truly, Johnny Dollar, starring Bob Bailey, originates in Hollywood and is produced and directed by Jack Johnstone, who also wrote today's story. Heard in our cast were Virginia Gregg, Les Tremaine, Forrest Lewis, Herb Vigran, Junius Matthews, and Frank Gerstle. Be sure to join us next week for another exciting story of yours truly, Johnny Dollar. This is Roy Rowan speaking.
June 29th, 1958, yours truly, Johnny Dollar, here on Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt Cox. We thank you for making us a part of your day. Would you do me a favor? Thank this station, support their advertisers. It's their kindness and courtesy that allows us to be here with you each and every time we roll around on your favorite station. If you miss a day, you don't have to miss a show. You can hear our shows available through our webpage, classicradio.stream. You can stream our shows, learn more about classic radio collecting. You can contact me there. You can buy me a copy if you want to. That helps us find new, great additional radio shows to bring you here on Classic Radio Theater. And it also buys me a Dr. Pepper or two. You can also find a list there of all the podcast applications that have Classic Radio Theater available. Or just search on your favorite app for Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt Cox. Thank you so much for joining us. Tell all your friends the great radio shows are right here at this spot on the dial. Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt Cox on your favorite radio station.